Hey parents and student leaders, we're on week 3 of discussing some issues that really matter to your teenagers. Today I want to talk to you about the subject matter that we're going to cover at Switch, and that is that God didn't call us to a life of virginity, He called us to a life of purity. The questions that your Switch pastors ask me, number one, why is it important to stay sexually pure before marriage? I want to combine this with the second question, which is, what is our Bible's stance on sex before marriage? Why do we take that stance? Well, Scripture says that the marriage bed should be kept pure, that we should not be sexually immoral, that to look lustfully at a woman is the same as committing adultery in the heart. So God's standard of purity is way, 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 way higher than society's. Today, a lot of times people say, stay a virgin until you're married. So some people actually make it, but barely. They might be what we call technical virgins. And back in the language of my day, that means they did everything else possible, but go all the way. And even though some people may say sex is only the physical act, I would say that there are a lot of things that in God's eyes create lust and would be technically in God's eyes probably sexual impurity, definitely sexual impurity, that we don't consider that today. So sexual purity is not just the act of sex. I believe it involves all types of fooling around, and more than just sexual purity. Again, I'm going for emotional purity and spiritual purity as well in developing my kids. Again, we're going to have junior high kids, and your kids' junior high friends are going to be fooling around and doing things, and the media and everybody's going to say that's just normal and that's just whatever. It may be normal, it may be common, but it doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't mean it's healthy. We're going to raise the standard not just up a little bit, we're going to raise it way, 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 way up, and we want to give them not just a biblical view, but also a healthy relational view, and not just say, don't have sex before marriage. What we want to do is say, here's why. And here's why this is important. Here's how this will help you. This is why you want to save yourself. Sex is very sticky. It's emotional sticky. It's spiritually bonding. Essentially, when kids have multiple sex partners, they're basically doing married things, and then to break up is very painful for them because they have that bonding, and then they break up, and so they're essentially practicing marriage, and then they're practicing divorce, and then years later when they do get married, they've got tons of baggage, and they've already trained for divorce, so when things get difficult, they just do what they've done before, and they end up leaving. That's why it's not working. We have to guard the purity. How can we honor God when making decisions about sex, sexual activity, when in dating? Number one, I want to encourage my teenagers to really set their standards up front. So we're not going to wait until we're in the back seat of the car and say, oh, by the way, I don't do this. That's foolish. So we have up front, I'm a very committed follower of Christ, and I don't mess around. Depending on how crazy you want to get or how committed your kids want to get, you may set a really, really high standard, which my daughters, who are old enough to think about this, said we want to save our first kiss until we're married, which is crazy. But guess what? If you're not going blah, 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 blah with other people, then you're not going to be tempted to do what happens next. And so you can raise the standard really, really high, which may sound totally crazy to society, but I actually think sounds really, really good to God. And imagine the gift that would be to save that for your spouse. Final question is, how far is too far? And when I was growing up, they would say, well, just imagine Jesus in the room with you, and whatever you're comfortable doing in front of Jesus, well, that's okay. That's actually not bad advice. When I teach on this to married couples, what I often say is, what would be appropriate for your spouse to do? If you want your wife or your husband to have sex with another woman or man, is that appropriate? No. Okay. Would you want them to just do everything but? Again, you say no. Well, how about if they just stayed the night with someone else that's not you? Is that okay? No, you're not going to let them stay the night. Well, how about if we just cuddle with someone else? No, again and again and again. Well, how about if I just say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and kiss you on the ear? Okay. Again, you're going to say, no way. Why? Because those are very intimate things that are reserved for the two of you. If those things are now so special to keep between the two of you, why would you want your kids doing something with multiple people that really should be reserved for marriage? How far is too far? Well, you can be involved in deciding that for your kids. At our home, we really believe there's a lot of things that are really special that a lot of people do with a lot of people that actually should be reserved for their two, because we're seeking the one, God, as we're waiting on our two, our spouse. And because God comes first, we're not going to do what a lot of other people do, because we're saving that to serve the one with our two.